But I know it's not forever.
I'm blue, dabba dee, dabba die. I get like this when I think I'm alive. It's true, I'm a freak of a guy, but don't blame me, I got a demon inside. You can't stop this, I'm already out. Been trying to mission to get it, and I won't quit until I got it in the palm of my hand. And you all understand why I do what I do and am who I am. I don't know where I'll end up. Right now I'm at a rest stop. I just wanna make your head rock. Will I do it? They bet not, but I bet I can if I give it everything I got.
Hello out there. How are you guys doing? Hope everybody had a good day and a good night. Good to see you guys. First of all, I'm really gonna need your guys' help tonight. If I am lagging or I have a really bad internet connection, I want you guys to tell me. I'd appreciate it. You are right, KA. We got Burf in the house, dude. Always a really big pleasure. Really like Burf. Geek Mom and AJ, thank you guys so much for coming. And Lisa, helping mod up the show. We'll just chill here for a couple minutes. Maybe let a couple more people trickle in here. Does it sound pretty low? Well, god darn it. I think, yeah, I'll turn it up. I just hate listening to myself on repeat and then I'm so loud. What's up, Brent? Good to see you, Brent, man. We missed you, man. Aw, man. Hey, JSD is in the house, too. Good to see you, JSD. Hope you're having a good night. Lisa, coming back from vacation. Hope it was really nice. Hope you had a good one. Really relaxing. I saw that you went to the, I don't know what you call it, a true crime museum. That looked really, really awesome. Stranger is in the house. Good to see you, Stranger. Hope you're having a good night too. Man. And K.A. going to Dave and Buster's again last night. I hope you got me a burger. That just sounds so good. Am I coming in? Okay. Okay, let me crank her up. Let me just turn it up. Okay. Now this should be a lot better. Hopefully you guys don't hear my whatever's going on in the background. I don't even know. So tonight I wanted to cover 2 cases. There's some new developments and kind of an update in the Harmony Montgomery case. And also I wanted to just refresh and go over another case that means a lot to me, the Serenity Dennard case, which is a 9-year-old girl who went missing just a little bit outside of my hometown. So, good to see you, Sinbad Sailor. You stopped by because you know I won't be blaming Harmony's family like those other sicko creators. Family members are victims too. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to look into it, for sure. Good to see you, Sinbad. Are you gonna be Sin Good tonight? I don't have a problem. I'll come over there. Tell me. Give me the word. I'm just kidding, Sinbad. So, I don't know, guys. There's a lot of... I subconsciously can't think of one case without thinking of another sometimes. That might go with, you think of Delphi, you might think of Evansdale, you think of Brandon Lawson, you might also think of Brandon Swanson. There's a lot of cases that remind me of each other, and these are one of them. The last time I covered this case, I covered them together as well. Just the names, Serenity and Harmony, a little similar, but there's a lot more similarities that those 2 little girls have. They were both last seen in 2019, last seen alive. They're similar ages, 9 years old for Serenity, 7 years old for Harmony. And they endured in their short lives, unless by some miracle they would be alive, but unfortunately I'm leaning towards thinking they're not, but they endured more trauma in their childhood than most adults should in their entire life. Just 2 really sad stories. So we will go ahead and I'm just going to read a few articles on each. Just get up on the basic facts. I did pin... I pinned the call-in link if anybody wants to call in and chat. More than welcome. I agree with you, Stranger, man. Too many kids are going missing, man. For sure. Gosh. And it took me I don't have any strong opinions at all on the Harmony Montgomery case, but with Serenity Dennard, it's so weird, guys. Like, every case has a narrative, and with narrative doesn't necessarily have to be bad or good. Narrative is just, the basic story that the witnesses and law enforcement and family of the victim will, come to an agreement with, the general story of what happened. And with Serenity, it's not really all over the place, but it just bugs me because I have come to the conclusion that Serenity's probably lost out there. She probably succumbed to the cold. She went missing on February 3rd, 2019 from the Black Hills Children's Society, where she should have been protected and watched. And that night was record-breaking as far as snowfall and temperature drops went for that year in South Dakota. And I just I don't know. I just can't really see her being abducted anymore. I just can't, but we're going to look at it from all angles. So let's get started. I only plan on being here for about an hour, then we'll get out. So I thought this was, at least an interesting place to start with Serenity. So Serenity Dennard, missing 9-year-old's family, hires retired FBI to find her. And this is, so they changed the title. This was supposed to be five facts to know about Serenity. So we got 5 here. And keep in mind, this is an older article, 2020. So Serenity Dennard is a 9-year-old South Dakota girl who disappeared on February 3rd, 2019, and was the subject of one of the most extensive missing person searches in the state's history. This week, her adoptive parents, Chad Dennard and Darcy Gentry, have revived the search, hiring a private investigation firm made up of FBI and police veterans in hope of finding and finally tracking their daughter down. Serenity was undergoing treatment at the Black Hills Children's Home in Rapid City because she had a habit of running away from home. That February, South Dakota Newswatch reported, there was a comma there. A visiting family caught sight of her as she was leaving the gym building on campus and followed her until she disappeared from sight and was never seen again. So at that children's home, there was a grandma of one of the kids who lived there, and also another child, I think. So there was 2 witnesses that did see Serenity walking down the road. Doug Coons, a retired FBI agent with Veracity, it's an Indiana-based law firm hired by Serenity's parents. Well, they gave Heavy, this website, an overview of his strategy in the fresh search in the girl on Thursday, but acknowledged that the odds are not with us on this one. Here's what you need to know about the search for Serenity. 1. Serenity disappeared from the Black Hills Children's Home February 2019. 2 employees who were watching her at the time were later fired. Around 10:45 in the morning on February 3rd, 2019, Serenity left the children's home gym while the 2 employees watching her were distracted by another child. 2 of the facility's employees were later fired after Serenity's disappearance. Serenity had issues with running away from her adoptive parents' home in Sturgis, which was the basis for treatment she was receiving at the children's home. So she was getting treated for running away. There's a specific condition that it's called reactive something disorder. I'll have to look it up, or they'll probably mention it. A grandmother and her granddaughter were dropping off another child at the time and spotted Serenity running off. The grandmother alerted staff at the children's home while her granddaughter stayed in the car and watched Serenity disappear into the trees. And this was the last confirmed sighting of her. There's Pennington County Sheriff's immediately putting out a bulletin. We're looking for 9-year-old Serenity Dennard, last seen 11:20 a.m. near the Children's Home Society on South Rockerville Road. We are concerned for her safety considering the winter weather and her lack of warm clothing. 2. The search for Serenity went on for months, spanning 4,500 miles on rough wooded terrain and involving 1,200 people. The search for Serenity ramped up the following day with an endangered alert issued and law enforcement helicopters joining the effort. 100 more volunteers joined the search as well. The mass effort to find the girl would sprawl into one of the most exhaustive missing person searches in South Dakota history. More than 1,000 people from 60 different agencies participated in those first 6 months. By January 2020, the search effort slowed, but it ended up covering, like we said, 4,500 miles of rough terrain with more than 220 leads exhausted and 465 interviews conducted. Wow. 3. Law enforcement and doctors expressed doubt about Serenity's chances for survival alone in the South Dakota winter. Cadaver dogs have picked up scents, but have found no remains. Pennington County Sheriff Kevin Tom told the Rapid City Journal in February, 1 year after Serenity's disappearance, that the girl's small size and the chill of the region's winters made the searchers fear for the worst, although many had still not given up. In terms of Serenity specifically, she's very small. She's 4'9", roughly 90-some pounds, so if she's in the woods and gets lost, at some point you're becoming hypothermic. There's the potential that you find a spot to curl up and get warm under a rock ledge or next to a log. Cadaver dogs were also brought out during the effort. Tom told the Journal that they had picked up scents, but they had no way of knowing if the scents originated with Serenity. Former prosecutor and true crime television host Nancy Grace hosted a video to Facebook that was soliciting help in finding Serenity in August as well. As of January 2020, local authorities were guessing that Serenity had become lost in the woods and succumbed to hypothermia. Her parents have not given up hope, though. 4. Serenity's adoptive parents still have not lost all hope and last week reached out to the retired FBI agents at Veracity to restart the search. Dennard and Gentry, the adoptive parents, have since divorced, but both continued to feel strongly that Serenity may yet be found. As far as what I think happened, it changes every day, Dennard told the outlet in February. But I think she's out there. I truly don't think somebody picked her up. I think she liked to run, and she wouldn't run very far, but she liked to see people look for her. I think she was watching people look for her, and I think she went too far and got lost. That's just Serenity, and she had done that before. Gentry told the outlet that we'd take any news at this point, adding that her bedroom remains set up for her. Sometimes I go in there and I cry. I lay down, I hold her unicorn, and I cuddle up in her blankets. It just completely rips your heart out. So on August 27th, they reached out to Veracity after a friend alerted them to successful missing persons case that the firm recently took on. It's not going to go cold. Brian Gentry, Serenity's stepfather, told the ABC affiliate, "We won't allow that. We said that from the beginning. Darcy and I did put this together after a lengthy conversation with the investigator that this was the right answer at this time." And number 5, Doug Coons, a retired FBI agent and CEO of Veracity, told Heavy that the odds aren't good, but they're gearing up for an extensive re-investigation. Coons told Heavy on Thursday that his investigators are still brushing up on the circumstances of her disappearance. "We're kind of in sponge mode," he said. "The case is pretty cold, but investigators have an extensive plan in place based on cycles of intelligence and new or redone interviews. We'll do as much research as we can," Coons said. "We'll look up for gaps and people that we think might want to interview again. We'll reach out to investigators who worked on this already, and hopefully they'll cooperate and share with us what they've done, maybe some insights that haven't been made public." Coons says that he believes that Veracity will be the first private investigation firm to take on Serenity's case. He said, "We'll use the principles we used at the FBI. Let the facts guide us in our investigation, and use the intel cycle to figure out what questions need to be answered and how they'll be answered. We'll collect our intel, process it, and analyze it, and then produce a set of more detailed questions, just fine-tuning each time around. As for the odds of finding Serenity alive, I have to be realistic. The odds are not with us on this one. The longer it goes, it just gets much worse. I hate to be pessimistic, but the statistics would say that the odds aren't good." So, yeah, guys, since this article, that private investigator is no longer on the case, and they have suspended the search. So, just in case you guys haven't seen it or are wondering, so Rapid City is me and Serenity's hometown. Rapid City is about, I don't know, 30 miles, 30 minutes, I don't know, something like, it's outside of town, this children's home. This is probably smack dab in the middle between Rapid City and Mount Rushmore, you know, the mountain with all the presidents' faces. It's truly in the middle of nowhere. I mean, yeah, you guys, you can see buildings, but this is literally the middle of nowhere. Goes on for miles and miles and miles, just like this. Trees and brush, black hills. So I'm going to take you to where the last sighting allegedly occurred from one of those kids that was a visitor that day. I believe they said that they saw Serenity heading this way over a cattle guard, and that's the last they saw her. Here's the cattle guard right here. So apparently they saw her come up here, and then she just continued to walk down the road. And even in that article, the witness apparently saw her disappear into the trees. So I don't know if she went right, those trees, these trees, who knows. Her adoptive family did visit her the day before she went missing. Not sure if that really means anything, but I don't know, guys. I'm just looking over here at your guys' comments. Thanks for participating. Yeah, we're already about halfway through because it's 30 minutes. Told you I only want to be here for an hour, so we're probably going to move on to Harmony's case. We'll do a deep dive in Serenity's case, but really there's not much to go on. There is a timeline that I made with the news articles and videos, but with the channel getting taken down, all the times we covered Serenity's case is gone now, so we'll have to do it again. And before we get off Serenity's case, I think it might be okay to play this. Let's just do this. Give me a second. Yeah, I'm using Google Earth, dude. Definitely hit that one up tonight. Okay. So, Serenity Dennard, filter by upload date. See what kind of new stuff has been going on. And it is kind of great. You see a lot of people have been covering her case. Got activity from 9 days ago, 13 days ago, 2 weeks ago. Now, some of these titles might not be that accurate, you know, labeling it the abduction of Serenity Dennard when the narrative clearly tells us that she ran away. So, it doesn't really matter. I'm just happy that her story's getting out there. And I'm going to unfilter that because the video that we're going to watch is... How do I do this? It came from the local news station. Here it is. This is by Black Hills Fox. This is their mini documentary that they made for Serenity. It's about 22 minutes long. I'm probably going to be here more than an hour now that I think about it, but I'm going to sit here and watch this with you guys. I'll be in the comments. Yeah.
She's a very spunky little girl. She's just full of personality. She used to go up and down the street, just around our house, and just always be making new friends.
Sounds like a like a herd of elephants coming through the house. You know, she's running so fast and just gives you a hug and tells you she loves you, and you know, just how fun and playful she was. She was a very, very, very playful child. I just miss it so much.
The story of Serenity Dennard is unlike any we've seen here in the Black Hills. It started right here at the Black Hills Children's Home near Rockerville. It was here on Super Bowl Sunday a year ago that Serenity ran. And despite a massive investigation and perhaps the largest search in the history of the state of South Dakota, there's still no sign of where she is or where she's gone. Reports are that Serenity was playing in the gym when another child ran out. And with that distraction to staff, little 9-year-old Serenity Dennard ran for the door.
Yeah, we had 2 witnesses that day, and they seen her slip and fall on the cattle guard. Then she crossed this cattle guard, and this is South Rockerville Road behind us. She would have turned here and went north on South Rockerville Road, and in this, probably 30, 40-yard stretch is where she was last seen walking north.
So how long of a period of time is that from when she was seen till when she disappears?
Within minutes, the witnesses notified staff there was somebody running on the road, a child, and within 3 to 4 or 5 minutes, they drove out on the road and started looking themselves, the witnesses did.
And that was the last time that Serenity was seen. The children's home was criticized for waiting an hour and 41 minutes to report Serenity's disappearance. Once the Pennington County Sheriff's Office arrived, searchers quickly swung into action with the weather turning against them. It didn't take long for investigators and searchers to realize this wasn't going to be a typical missing child case.
I would tell you by at least the second day in that we knew that we were dealing with something that was going to tax all of our resources that we had. It obviously was gaining a lot of attention. There was a lot of information out in reference to this child being missing. And
so another thing that really gets me is they said they had like hundreds of interviews and leads, but really as far as the investigation of this missing persons case, there's been nothing. There's just this little timeline we had where she walked off. It's just so frustrating. It's even more frustrating that they put probably millions of dollars into the search, the biggest search in South Dakota history. And look at Brandon Lawson. It took almost 9 years to find Brandon Lawson, and he was within a mile of the last place he was seen. Here with Serenity, the search is called off. Literally, they suspended the search and they're not looking anymore. So that's not really fair. Not entirely fair to suspend a search unless you're giving the public some information on some of the investigation you've been doing that can lead us away from the belief that she just walked off. So I always have a sour feeling about this because it's just one of those things it's not fair.
obviously, when a little one goes missing, it's big news, and a lot of people are concerned about what the outcome of that could be.
And so I actually have like two weird personal experiences with this case and another one. So you bring up a good point, K.A. You'd think that cadaver dogs could find her. And one thing is there was another missing person. Her name is Jessica Rayfield, and she was also, her remains were found in Rockerville. Really, really crazy case because Jessica Rayfield was killed in Rapid City at an apartment, and she was disposed of in some cattails, like right downtown by the Rapid City Mall. And then these guys got scared and they moved her 30 miles away to Rockerville. So pretty much what I'm trying to say is the search for Serenity is what found Jessica, because those cadaver dogs did pick up a scent, but it led them to Jessica Rayfield. So I just don't know. And the experiences I had with them are not that big. I was going to read this message, but it's really nothing. So I knew I had a friend who worked at the Black Hills Children's Home and coincidentally was fired around the same time. And I reached out to her last year when I did this case for the first time. I asked if I can ask her some questions about the children's home since she's worked there and I can keep her anonymous. And she just said, dude, I'm not interested. Like, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And with Jessica Rayfield, my mom is like she's an apartment manager. She is like a landlord to all these apartments. And she was Jessica Rayfield's landlord. And she went missing for like a really long time. Nobody found her. And then I'm the one who moved into her apartment. Like, I'm the next one who lived in her apartment after she went missing. And it was just really eerie and kind of spooky. I still talk to my mom about that. It's really weird. Yeah, they caught the guy who did that to Jessica Rayfield. It was a group of guys. Yeah, it was a group of guys. That's how they got caught, because they kept snitching on each other because they moved the body like 2 or 3 times, I think. We'll have to cover that case sometime because it's really interesting. But I'll keep going with this case.
But the search went on day after day, month after month.
This is very tough. It's, everybody that's involved that's been out here searching, obviously it becomes personal. I mean, it's an emotional thing. And the longer it goes on, it gets harder and harder because, everybody wants to bring Serenity home. If she is up in the woods, we want to find her and bring closure to all this.
And the Black Hills Children's Home came under scrutiny as well. The South Dakota Department of Health and the Department of Social Services reviewed the home's response after Serenity walked away. The report cited the delay in calling 911 and the radios of the home's workers operating on 3 different frequencies, meaning not everyone could hear everything at the same time. And in that report, Children's Home Society Executive Director Bill Colson was quoted as saying, complacency among the staff was an issue. Kids had run in the past. Staff had found them. They thought this time would have been the same, end quote.
Kids typically don't do what Serenity did. So I'll be perfectly honest, it caught us a bit off guard. Runaways at our agency are not uncommon. What is uncommon is for a child to run a great distance away. Typically, a child, if they leave one room, they'll run into another room, hide under a bed, hide under a desk or something like that. And so we were...
Well, geez, I just can't help but listen to this guy and want to pull him by the ear. So he's saying that what Serenity did was not typical. Well, no shit. She ran away. But that's why she was admitted into that children's home, because she had a problem with her what's it called? Hyperreactive disorder, something like that. She ran away all the time. You guys knew this was happening. So this guy, man. This is the longest I've ever heard him talk to.
Do what Serenity did. So I'll be perfectly honest, it caught us a bit off guard. Runaways at our agency are not uncommon. What is uncommon is for a child to run a great distance away. Typically, a child, if they leave one room, they'll run into another room, hide under a bed, hide under a desk or something like that. And so we responded like we would typically respond, and that is, let's search the buildings first. As a result, we delayed a bit in dialing 911. And in conversation with the Sheriff's Department and the Police Department, there's no prescribed time. The word that the sheriff used with me was that sooner is always better.
At the time of that interview in April, Colson said policies had already been changed. All radios would now be set to a single frequency, and 911 would now be called immediately.
I'm not absolutely certain it would have made a real difference in locating Serenity.
And the weather presented a huge challenge, shutting down the search at times, but that didn't dim the resolve of the people doing the work.
The Sheriff of Pending County is 100% committed to bringing Serenity home, no matter how that is. We're working every angle of every possibility, and we are going to work until we find her, and that is our 100% commitment.
It's hard knowing as a searcher that I've got a missing 9-year-old in my backyard out here, and so we want closure for that family, we want closure for Serenity, and we want closure for the community.
Once we get across the fence, we're going to line up again and move on up the hill. Here we go.
All right, moving.
So this is probably almost exactly what Jason Watts was describing, if you guys remember, about, the grid search, how they search for missing people. Shoulder to shoulder, looks like a few feet apart, just pushing forward.
Gail, you're very familiar with this area, being here near Rockerville. What are the challenges of a search in this terrain, in this area out here?
There's a lot of challenges with this terrain and this area, not only for us the searchers, but also for the dogs. So if you look at the general area, we have a lot of gray rocks, gray trees, a lot of gray ground. And if you look at the colors that she was wearing at the time Serenity disappeared, a lot of that blends in with the background that we have. For the dogs, the wind conditions in this type of a terrain will whirl around, they'll swirl around, and they're not consistently out of the same direction. So that hampers the dogs. And if they get some sort of interest, they like to stay with that wind. And if the wind's moving around, that just makes it a little more challenging for the dogs as well. Disheartening, I think, is the word the sheriff used. Frustration, and it's just hard, ultimately. Everybody wants to bring Serenity home. We want to find it. We want to bring kind of some closure to not only her family, but also the community. The community is very involved in this.
Those individuals are rock stars. The amount of time, that they're donating, their personal time, there people going up there with dogs all the time, people donating to the cause. We live in an awesome community, that people genuinely care. But she's still missing, but I can't, it's not their fault they haven't found her. They're trying. I honestly believe that they're putting in every ounce of effort that they can.
And the search continued, whether it was search dogs or community members, including this group of Ellsworth Air Force Base airmen who turned out in June.
And I just wanted to pause. So great to see some people on Twitch. Welcome, Linda. Just wanted to ask, so you say, I studied scent work with dogs. I'd be interested if you knew, so say for instance, they bring a bunch of cadaver dogs out looking for Serenity. If they find a different missing person, is there a way that they can tell if the dogs can smell one body or two bodies or the difference between them? Because I think that was a problem we read in the article. Kind of interesting. And great, yeah, Philoma. Maybe find out why it's common for kids to run away from your program. It's almost like the Black Hills Children's Home wasn't penalized one bit. All they did was switch their policy, which should have been there in the first place. I think they didn't call the cops until 2 hours later, or, some ridiculous long amount of time. Their walkie-talkies weren't even on the right frequencies. They couldn't get a hold of each other. So much that could have been. Obviously, none of the fault would fall on the child who was visiting that day. But for the child and the grandma to see Serenity walking down the road and disappear, so sad that they saw her. People had eyes on her. People should have had eyes on her. The teachers.
We're going to get told from where we're going to start and just keep going until they call us back for lunch. I was like, why does it all just, utilize my time wisely and help for a good cause? So she's been missing for a while, so why not get her found?
We're all part of a big community of the Black Hills, and we're very proud to have been selected to come here. And
also, I think that's a good point that you made, K.A. So many missing and John Jane Does are because law enforcement called every missing kid a runaway. Serial killers have gotten away with way more kills because of that law enforcement attitude. I agree with you.
And hopefully bring the family closure. And definitely glad that they want us here.
As of the beginning of the week, searchers have walked about 5,300 miles in the area around the children's home, about 4,200 of that by people and about 1,100 by dogs. That includes a total of about 1,600 individual trips, some people just a weekend or two, and others coming back again and again.
This is her last known spot here right by the home, And all this blue is every walk that we've had. And we can click on any one of these blue marks, and I can tell you who it was and how far they walked that day. So every time the sheriff or Gail or Corey or I've been out here, we can find all of our walking. So you can see we're walking the grid pattern. We're doing a traditional search pattern. But again, this looks easy because it's flat. But some of these gaps you see in here are, they're mountains that we can't scale, and we know she's not up there. But this is all the canine activity that we've had. We've a lot in the home area those first days, but a lot of gridding back and forth as well. And then when you put it all together, you have this, and this is pretty accurate. And this is what the folks carry. We gave every one of them one of these. They turn on the.
Have you guys ever seen somebody lay out a search with? Let me rewind that bad boy. Did they just pull out 2 maps? That looks intense. See, every once in a while I'll look at this case and I'll be like, okay, I can almost see why the search was called off, but same time, I can't. At least have the Rockerville Fire Department looking out there every few months or something. You don't just call a search off unless there's a reason for it.
Grid pattern. We're doing a traditional search pattern. But again, this looks easy because it's flat, but some of these gaps you see in here are, they're mountains that we can't scale, and we know she's not up there. But this is all the canine activity that we've had. We've a lot in the home area those first days, but a lot of gridding back and forth as well. And then when you put it all together, you have this, and this is pretty accurate. And this is what the folks carry. We gave every one of them one of these. They turn on before they start walking and turn off when they're done. And then we can and so this collectively is over 5,000 miles of up and down, in and out, around, through.
Search dogs found the scent of human remains, although they can't tell who, but nothing has ever been found. That leaves many wondering, could she still be out there? Now, one thing, Kevin, Sheriff Tone was saying that I had not thought about the possibility you guys may have walked over her or by her 2 or 3 times and not spotted her. How, I guess, for people that aren't here, how doing that, how could that happen?
We've talked.
This is probably one of the most important parts of the video as far as finding Serenity goes. Because really, seeing how Brandon Lawson was found, it really does make you want to rethink how you look at other missing persons cases. I can almost guarantee, I can't guarantee shit, but in my opinion, I feel like Serenity was very, very, very dangerously close to being found many times. She's probably just right out there. I mean, there is a lot of weird FLDS, Warren Jeff type individuals near Rockerville, but I don't think she was abducted or anything. I think she's out there. This should be on a missing 411 show, huh? This is exactly that type of case. Geek Mom, very good. Yep, and don't forget animals, because it's speculated that's what happened to Brandon too. 'Cause, remains are definitely scattered if they're decomposed or something like that. Some part of me even thinks cadaver dogs might even be more resourceful to use now than they were in the beginning. Because if a body decomposes, it would probably be easier to find by a dog. That's just what my brain's telling me, but I don't know.
I guess for people that aren't here, how doing that, how could that happen?
We've talked about that a lot, how we stepped over her somewhere, and it can happen because obviously she's very small. We believe if she's out here, she is probably very compact and balled up, probably underneath some sort of a rock ledge or a tree or a root ball or something where she's trying to probably get warm. And so obviously her physical structure is tiny.
How wide is the investigation into Serenity's disappearance gone? And just where does that investigation sit today? Those answers when the search for Serenity continues. You've seen the searchers and you've seen the dog teams fanning out in the Rockerville area, but that's the part of the investigation into Serenity Dennard's disappearance that's visible. What about the part that you don't see? What's been going on behind the scenes with investigators?
We have conducted over 465 interviews or contacts in reference to this case. We have interviewed anybody that may have an interest or had a responsibility for the caretaking of this child. We have talked to family. Our investigation as a whole is going to encompass over 36 states and 4 countries. So, yeah, it's pretty big.
And of course, this is the most visible part, and that's what we put on,
36 states in 4 countries. Yeah, that's a lot of... Wonder what kind of tips they got.
Social media and to the media we share when we go out and search to be as transparent as we can. What we don't talk about is every week when we follow up an investigative lead, we don't put that on social media and say, today we followed up an investigative lead. So people need to understand that while we're searching, we're also investigating at the same time and have since the beginning.
Okay, I'll play that again too. So,
understand that while we're searching, we're also investigating at the same time and have since the beginning.
So he's saying that they have been investigating since the beginning. Well, that's great. I think if you call a search off, you got to say something about the investigation. At least one thing. At least, we think she's out there, but we use too much resources to look further. You got to say something. You don't just say, oh yeah, we're going to call off the search. It's been 2 years. Let's call off the search, guys. No, you don't do that. That's my opinion, but to me, that's just irresponsible and a crappy way to run a sheriff's department. The road she was walking on, semi-truck traffic? Oh yeah, for sure. It's, in around August and throughout the year, you'll get some tourists that travel that road to go see Mount Rushmore. Everybody goes to Mount Rushmore, but really it's a really busy highway, really busy interstate. For sure. Rockerville itself is like a super small town. Probably like population like 200 or 300, but yeah, very busy. There's theme parks, there's bear country, back to those animals. They have a lot of stuff out there, but it's really separated. Like that Black Hills Children's Home, there's probably nothing for miles. Probably at least 15 miles is probably nothing. Yeah.
Said they had a recent meeting with the FBI to go over the case to see whether there's anything they weren't seeing, anything else they should examine. He says they didn't find anything new. So after all of that, is there a definitive answer as to just what happened to Serenity Dennard? Do you feel like she's out here?
I always say this, we're investigating, we're searching based on our cadaver scent that we've had. We feel there's something out here, whether that's Serenity or somebody else. I can't tell you that. I lean towards her being in the woods as opposed to being abducted, but I can't unequivocally say one way or the other because we haven't found her.
Do you believe she's out here?
I'm going to agree with what the sheriff says. We have not logged 5,000 miles of walking just to put on a show so people think we're working hard. We've done an investigation, which is very thorough, and we've done searching, which is very thorough, so we can cover both bases. So until we decide we're no longer looking, I will continue to look, and we're going to bring her home eventually.
How hopeful are you that she's alive and she's out there somewhere?
You always hope that that's the case. I have to look at things factually, and I have to look at where the facts of this case are directing us. So I can't tell you that, she's not alive. I would tell you that my hope is that she is alive, okay? But I'm also looking at the possibility that she's not.
So just checking in, and thank you for coming in, Beaver. So good to see you. I was wondering if any of you guys are listening along. What are you guys thinking so far about this case? Are any of you guys feeling that abduction is more possible than not, because after covering this so many times, I already told you guys, I just can't see it, but it is possible for sure. It would probably be irresponsible to say it's not possible, but it's such a pain. It's a really frustrating one to talk about. Geek Mom feeling about 30-70. That's pretty right. That's about right. Since you said the traffic thing, I'm thinking she could have been taken. Yeah, okay, I thought she was taken for the longest time. I couldn't, I couldn't get my mind off of it. Even knowing that, like, just her past with the way she was going through homes and her abuse. She was visited the day before she left. I didn't mention this because it wasn't in the article, but do you guys know how the narrative goes about how exactly she left? So she was in the gym with a bunch of other kids, and there was 2 teachers. One of the teachers had a group of kids, about half the kids, and Serenity and another girl made a plan. They purposely distracted the teacher. So Serenity made this plan with this other girl. She said, I'm going to leave. I'm going to a beautiful place. And the other kid distracted the teacher, and Serenity ran off. And that came straight from that little girl's mouth. Why would she have a plan to do that and, like, not take a coat? It doesn't make sense. It would be for the best case if she wasn't as well. Yeah. Are you talking to... See, I don't know if you mean abducted, because if she was abducted, yeah, she would probably be subjected to so much more abuse, but at least she might be able to come back and live. I don't know. She might have gotten cold and went back out to the road for help, and they took her. That's true, Geek Mom. Very true. Yeah, a beautiful place. It was quoted. And that other girl, obviously, she lived there. She lived there. It was a children's home, children with special needs. So, and she was very, very young. So you can't just quote a child and be like, this is what happened. But that's kind of part of the narrative we're left with. Yeah.
What do you think, looking back, what do you think happened that day? What do you think, I mean, you had to have thought a lot about that. What do you think happened that day?
It changes all the time. Personally, I feel, she ran away, and I think she just ran too far and didn't know how to get back.
I have mixed feelings because as the time goes on, each day that passes, it seems like, one day you'll think, oh, that, people are still calling in, there's leads, and so you get hopeful that she is out there, that maybe, when she walked off the cattle guard, she ducked around the corner, maybe somebody picked her up, maybe somebody saw her. I've thought, maybe, it was some kind of an inside job, that people, planned all of this. And, you're constantly thinking and trying to figure out what exactly happened.
What has this past year been like for the family, and what are they doing to hold on to hope? We'll examine that when the search for Serenity continues.
By the way, I'm looking it up. I think it's called reactive attachment disorder. I think that's one of them that Serenity was trying to, sent there to learn how to cope with. Both that and then running away. So.
After being moved from foster home to foster home, Serenity was finally adopted by Chad and Darcy when Serenity was 4. Darcy and Chad divorced and both remarried. Serenity was living with Chad and Cassandra when she was put into the Black Hills Children's Home.
Serenity faced a lot of attachment issues. It's called a reactive attachment disorder.
So if I waited about 1 minute, he would have got it for me. All right. Yep, reactive attachment disorder. And then among other things, I'm sure.
It just, with her trauma from being in the social services system, it just, she had a really, she couldn't really attach to a person, you know, she didn't understand feelings like a healthy kid would.
It would seem like some days she had a very close bond with you, and then the next day, you know, it was, I don't like you, you're not my parents, and, you know, so she could switch pretty easily back and forth.
It's been a year now since Serenity Dennard disappeared. That means frustration for searchers, frustrations for investigators, and frustrations for the public following the case. But what has that year been like for Serenity's family?
You're wearing a mask every day, you know, because it's on the forefront, first thing on your mind every second of every day. Seeing going through the drive-through at the Dairy Queen or whatnot, and, you know, there's a missing picture, you know, and it's good that they're there, but, you know, it's just
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, or the trauma for whatever got her into the system, but then saying surely they must have checked out her birth family. Her birth family is another, God, it's really sad. Like, so Serenity, technically you have Chad and Darcy, which are the adoptive parents. Or is it Chad and Cassandra? I think Cassandra. Anyways, two sets of parents here. The birth father, not in the picture, doesn't do anything, but the birth mother was in prison the whole time. So, you know, most likely it couldn't be the birth mother. She was in prison. But when she got out of prison, she did a couple interviews from prison explaining how she felt about Serenity. She came out of that place just swinging and raising hell and trying to get her daughter found. And it makes me feel bad because the same mother who just let Serenity sit around in her pee-filled diaper for days and days and, you know, put her through all that abuse, she's the one who wanted to step up and try to have her be found. And I think that leads people down rabbit holes because she was in the social service. She was in that situation for a reason, not a reason that she made, but because her birth parents were not responsible. I don't want to put all the blame on them because there was even a story that the birth mom got in trouble just for stealing diapers and stealing baby wipes. Like it was a pretty rough for everybody, but Serenity is the one who took the brunt of all that damage.
Punch every time to the heart, you know. It brings it back home every time.
Pretty much hell. There's days when you can't get out of bed. You just can't. You're thinking about her all the time. I pray about her constantly.
It's been rough, having my own personal emotions going through my mind about what I could have done better, but having to see my wife go through what she goes through on a daily basis is very difficult for me to watch.
Miserable, absolutely. It's hard for us. It's hard for everyone around us. It's hard.
Okay, so this is Cassandra. So really kind of a crazy dynamic, guys. So you got the birth mother who, yeah, she was in prison. She did interviews. She came out and tried to help. You have Chad and Darcy, which are married. But Chad and this lady right here, Cassandra, they are the original adoptive parents of Serenity. But even after they broke up and remarried, like, so technically, I guess she has like 3 sets of parents. But still she's missing and nobody knows where she is. so many parents, such a shitty situation, I think.
For everyone around us, it's hard for our other children. We want answers. I think we try to make ideas like this could be the situation, or this could be just to get you through the next minute.
It's also been a year of dealing with online speculations, theories, and often accusations against virtually everyone involved.
No matter, how Chad and I ended things and our relationship, that we are all good people. There's many family members that Serenity has, and we all love her so much.
There's no hidden details. It's what's out there is out there, really. We're not hiding her. Nobody's in our family's hiding her, and she's a missing little girl, and that's just it. That's really all there is to it. She's out there needing help.
Are there changes that can be made to help other children in the same situation in the future? The important lessons learned in the search for Serenity. So what can be done to make sure nothing like this happens again? In December, Governor Kristi Noem announced that she'll pursue legislation that would improve the oversight of private treatment facilities for children and youth. The Department of Social Services came up with a report to identify possible reforms. That report came up with recommendations, including increasing the number of licensing on-site visits, enhancing the reporting system for serious injury and death, revising the reporting protocol to Child Protective Services to licensees, adding additional contracted investigators, and transparency through the creation of a central repository for DSS reports that would be open to public inspection. And then there's the push to create the Serenity Alert that's designed to make public notification of a missing child who doesn't qualify for an Amber Alert quick and easy.
So Serenity did not qualify for that. That's the reason why the Endangered Child Alert went up. So Kayla Saka out of Nebraska and myself started pushing this alert called the Serenity Alert, because of course everybody knows the Amber Alert was named after a little girl named Amber. This one we're going to name after Serenity. Well, you've got the Amber Alert way up here, and you've got the Endangered Child Alert way down here. What we're trying to do is filter it and put a Serenity Alert right between the two in the middle. So if we could get a 6th, an 8th, a 10th, a 12th of those kids that go missing come back to their families, that's a pretty big number. So it's very important that we understand that there are so many children on an annual basis that are missing, whether they're gone 10 minutes, 24 hours, never come home. And if that alert can be put in place to bring these children back, because had she qualified for a system like that, we wouldn't be having this conversation today, because people would have been on top of her way sooner than what they were, because there was no text that went out, there was no calls or no emails, nothing like that, because she didn't qualify. We put up Serenity Alert signs, and I want to make a difference in this state, because what happens with the alert is we get it initiated in South Dakota, and we just hope that people around the surrounding areas follow suit. Wyoming, Nebraska, Montana, North Dakota. And before you know it, it's all over the United States, because people are seeing how South Dakota did it.
So do you think it would have made a difference had you had something in that gap when she disappeared?
Oh, absolutely. I think people would have been notified much quicker. First responders would have been on the scene much faster. And I don't think we'd be having this conversation talking about this story today, because instead of hours, it would have been seconds. So the amount of time for a 9-year-old to escape doesn't take a whole lot of time, as we all know, people that have kids around Serenity's age. A 9-year-old gets a long ways in a very short period of time.
They're gathering petitions online to garner support for that Serenity Alert. The family was handing out pamphlets promoting the alert at a recent benefit.
I think it should be instilled. It's just like the Amber Alert, and I think we should definitely get that passed in the office. It should be something going. I think it's big, and I think it'd help a lot of kids, a lot.
And after all of this, a year of searching and investigating with no answers, does Serenity's family still hold out hope that this story will have a happy ending?
How could you not find her if she were up there? It's unreal to me that all the area, everything they've searched, they haven't found her. So then, you kind of still have the hope then that she is out there. I know she's with me. I can feel her with me. Yeah, I'd like to believe that she is still out there.
I would love, that, somebody took her in, a good person took her in, and, some old grandma somewhere that doesn't have social media or TV or anything. And, oh, here's a 10-year-old little girl that just needs help. I'm just going to comfort her and feed her. And you got to hold out. You got to have hope.
The Pennington County Sheriff's Office says if you have any direct information as to the whereabouts of Serenity Dennard, please contact the Investigative Division at 605-394-6115.
Well, all right, guys. Yeah, last time we covered this case, I played only a few minutes of this video, so I think this is probably the best piece of content out there that shows us what Serenity's life was like. But guys, there's a lot more too. I really suggest you guys digging in if this case interests you. I know it's very interesting to me, very sad. I just linked the Find Serenity Dennard Facebook page in the chat too. A great place of people who support Serenity. However, it's just a sad place to be. There's no information. Just every few weeks, somebody will post a picture of her with the tip line and say, help find her. There's no information out there, guys. Nada. So, okay, guys, we're going to move on to this next case. It's going to be a lot shorter because I'm not very familiar. I'm just going to read a few articles and we probably will watch a couple videos. This is the missing case of Harmony Montgomery. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to talk about the timeline here. Okay. So it's a New Hampshire case. 7-year-old Harmony Montgomery has been missing since September 2019. And police are asking anyone with details about her to come forward. No tip is too small, according to investigators. On Tuesday, police in her hometown of Manchester, New Hampshire, arrested her father, Adam, on child abuse and endangerment charges in connection with the 2019 incident that left the partially blind little girl with a black eye, as well as his failure to divulge her whereabouts to authorities when they contacted him last week. Harmony is about 4 feet tall and weighs about 50 pounds. She has blonde hair and blue eyes, and because of visual impairments, she should be wearing glasses, and she's blind in her right eye. So, September 2014, Adam Montgomery pleads guilty to charges of larceny, carrying a firearm without a license, and discharging a firearm within 500 feet of a building in an armed robbery during which he allegedly shot a man in the head. Harmony is around 4 months old at this time, and that's when Montgomery receives a sentence of 18 months behind bars. So, back to July 2018. Crystal Sorey loses custody of Harmony in Massachusetts, in part due to struggles with substance abuse. Harmony begins bouncing in and out of foster care. February 22nd, 2019. Harmony's father, Adam Montgomery, secures custody of his daughter, taking her out of Massachusetts' foster care system, and that's according to the juvenile court records from Lawrence, Massachusetts. Around April 21st, 2019, Harmony's biological mother, Crystal Sorey, who did not have custody of Harmony, speaks with her daughter over FaceTime for the last time. Sorey later told investigators that her daughter seemed frightened during the call. Sad. June 7th, 2019. Blair and Jonathan Miller begin fostering Harmony's younger brother, Jameson. From night one, in the bedroom, he asked where Harmony was going to sleep. July 2019. Adam Montgomery allegedly punches Harmony, who is visually impaired and blind in one eye, in the face, leaving her with a black eye, but police weren't told about this until more than 2 years later, and that's according to an arrest affidavit released on January 5th. His uncle, Kevin Montgomery, told police about the incident in December 21. At least 2 other family members knew of the black eye: Adam Montgomery's wife Kayla and his brother Michael, according to the affidavit. And here, I'm going to drop the link in the live chat if any of you guys want to look at this affidavit in your spare time. August 16th, 2019. The Millers meet Sori for the first time and offer to adopt Harmony if the need ever arises. They discuss Jameson's strong bond with his sister and exchange numbers with Sori, remaining in regular contact ever since, following up on Harmony and giving her updates on Jameson. They also frequently sought to connect the siblings over FaceTime, but each time Sori told them that Adam Montgomery wasn't answering her. November 2019. The Millers legally adopt Jameson. They also reach out to Sori and say that they want to send Harmony a Christmas gift from her little brother, but she tells them she's again unable to reach Montgomery. June 2020, a long time later. Around the time of Harmony's 6th birthday, Sori tells the Millers that she hasn't been able to reach Montgomery or her daughter. July 2020, the Millers again make it clear that they are willing to adopt Harmony if there's a need. March 7th, 2021, Jameson asks his adoptive parents if they can adopt Harmony. "I want to call her a Miller too," Jonathan Miller quoted his son as saying at that time. March 21st, 2021, Kayla Montgomery takes the 3 children she shares with Adam and moves into her mother's apartment. And that's due to domestic violence on her from her husband, according to the request for a restraining order. And somewhere between October and November 2021, Adam Montgomery splits up with his wife Kayla and checks into a sober house. He later moved to Maine with another woman, and that's according to court documents based on Kayla Montgomery's statements to investigators. June 2021, with Harmony's 7th birthday approaching, the Millers are still sending pictures of Jameson to Sori and asking about the girl's whereabouts. She tells them that on the child's birthday she woke up crying and said she wished her ex would stop avoiding her. Wow. So the Millers celebrated Harmony's birthday with cupcakes and sang happy birthday, still having never met her. July 2nd, 2021, Adam Montgomery allegedly shows up at his mother-in-law's home, where his now estranged wife was sheltering with their children, and tapped on the window. Her boyfriend later claimed to have found a steak knife outside the same window, and the mother-in-law filed the restraining order. July 29th, 27 days later, Sori tells the Millers that she finally found Montgomery, but he immediately blocked her on social media. Wow. September 21, Jonathan Miller says Sori told him she'd made contact with one of Montgomery's aunts, who told her she hadn't seen Harmony since some point in 2019. Shortly afterward, she reportedly saw Montgomery posting a lot of his belongings on Facebook Marketplace. September 16th, 2021, the Millers began attempting to contact Adam and Kayla Montgomery over Facebook, but they have no luck. Blair Miller, a Washington-based news anchor for Boston 25, reaches out to New Hampshire Division for Children, Youth, and Family Services. Sori later tells them that she finally heard back from the agency. So November 16, 21, Sori discusses filing a missing persons report for Harmony with the Millers. 2 days later, Manchester school officials reveal that they have no records that Harmony has ever been enrolled there. Sori reports Harmony missing to the Manchester Police Department. The Millers again offer to take Harmony into emergency foster care if needed. 2 days after Christmas, 2021, New Hampshire's Division of Children, Youth, and Families notifies police that it is unable to locate Harmony. And as a result, police officially open an investigation into her whereabouts and discover that she had not been physically seen since October or November of 2019. She was supposed to be in her father's care the entire time. December 29th, Sori sends a letter to Manchester Mayor Joyce Craig saying she planned to go to the media and is pleading for help. She's supposed to be in first grade. He never enrolled her into school this whole time. She's missed important doctor's appointments she's had since a baby due to her disability in her eye. Here in that article I linked, you can also see that letter that she wrote to the mayor. December 30th, Montgomery's brother and uncle tell the police that they have concerns about Harmony's welfare. Kevin Montgomery, Adam Montgomery's uncle, said that around the time of the alleged 2019 assault, he saw Harmony with a black eye. He told police that his nephew told him, "I bashed her around the house as a punishment after her little brother started crying." He also told the police that he hadn't seen his nephew or Harmony since a few months after that incident. 1 day later, Adam Montgomery's estranged wife, Kayla, tells police that she last saw Harmony near the end of 2019 when her husband said that he was dropping her off with her biological mother, Sori. Police said that the couple's 3 other children were all presently accounted for. Kayla Montgomery also said that she saw Harmony with a black eye in 2019 and that her husband allegedly blamed it on one of their other children. And also on December 31st, police finally find Adam Montgomery and his new girlfriend sleeping in a car off of Harville Street in Manchester. After police questioned Montgomery, after police questioned Montgomery, okay, that's not my fault. They alleged, okay, my bad. They alleged he gave them contradictory statements, including first claiming to have recently spoken to Harmony, and then backtracking to say that the last time was when he claimed Sori picked her up around Thanksgiving in 2019. And then he allegedly stopped answering questions, and he told the investigators, "I have nothing else to say. If I'm not under arrest, I'm leaving." The Manchester Police Department publicly declares Harmony a missing child and asks for help from the public. So, getting into this year, January 2nd, Manchester police visit a home where Adam and Harmony Montgomery once lived. Authorities later said that it had since changed hands, and the new homeowner was cooperating with investigators. January 3rd, Manchester Police Chief Alan Aldenberg holds a news conference asking for the public to come forward with any tips that could help find Harmony. He announced a 24-hour police hotline to be manned by detectives at all times. January 4th, police arrest Montgomery in connection with the alleged 2019 black eye on child welfare charges. The search for Harmony is still ongoing, and the reward is increased to $33,000, and it continues to climb. January 5th, Montgomery waives his bail hearing and agrees to be held in preventative detention at the Hillsborough County House of Justice. The judge granted his petition for a public defender. January 6th, Manchester police announced charges against Adam Montgomery's estranged wife, Kayla Montgomery, for alleged welfare fraud. She's accused of collecting food stamps on behalf of Harmony until June 2021, despite not having seen the child since around November 2019. Huge red flag. January 12th, prosecutors announced they filed additional charges against Kayla Montgomery while downgrading 1 count of felony welfare fraud to a misdemeanor and adding a charge of felony theft by deception. Manchester Police also announced that the reward for information has risen to $104,000. Okay. So that is the full timeline that was released by law enforcement. A little bit of an older article, but everything there is pretty factual. We're going to go ahead and watch a quick video with Harmony's mother speaking out.
If I can't speak for her, who else is going to? You know? Look what happened for 2 years because I wasn't her voice, or I couldn't be, or nobody could hear me.
Where did you think Harmony was for the last 2 years?
I thought she was with her dad, and he was just being a jerk, really. That's what I hoped was happening, you know, but in my heart I knew something was wrong. Something was very wrong. Like, he was going to extremes to block me and make sure that I couldn't contact her or anything, or even to the point, like once his family started calling DCYF and he knew, he then cut them off, and then I couldn't even get information from them, you know, because at least I could get information about what was going on through them. Couldn't even get anything from them. He literally cut anybody that questioned him about how he treated Harmony or what he was doing. He cut them off.
When was the last time you actually saw Harmony?
In a FaceTime video, like 2-3 days before Easter. I showed her basket. I said, I'm coming in a couple days. Mommy got you a basket, you know? I held onto that basket for a year and some change, hoping, you know, that I'd have a chance to give it to her.
And what did she seem like when you saw her on FaceTime?
Terrified. I would say, hey, you know, what's going on? What'd you eat for lunch? What'd you do today? You know, are you going to school yet? Like, you know, how are your brothers and sisters? You got any friends? You know, little questions.
Yeah, what do you guys think? On the police wouldn't help her. You know, she doesn't have any custodial rights as a parent, but at the same time, it should be, definitely should have been, what do you call it? Should have been treated as just a welfare check. Everybody deserves one of those, and this is a 7-year-old. None of this should have happened. And especially, that pisses me off to find out that they were collecting food stamps off of her for 2 years. Can't believe it.
Questions like, I'm her mom. Like, I want to know these things. I want to know she's happy. And every time I asked these things, he would pause it and he'd tell, whatever he'd say to her, I can't hear him, he'd mute it. And he'd be like, don't tell her, da, 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 don't, da. And she'd be like, you know, and I'm watching her, so he'd unmute it, and I'm like, what?
Oh my God, that is so sad. Fuck, that's sad.
What's going on? Like, why are you muting it every time I ask her a question? Why aren't you letting her talk to me? Why are you answering for her? Like, you're acting weird, Adam. I'm like, what's going on? Like, we're co-parenting. Like, you're letting me have visits. Like, what's going on? He's like, I have sole custody, sole decision making. You don't get to ask me shit. And he hangs up and blocks me. And that was the last thing I had contact with her and saw her at all.
What made you call the police before Christmas?
It was a couple weeks, you know, I had called right after he stopped talking to me, but I was talking to my therapist and I was telling her, like, listen, this is affecting my mental health. I can't sleep, I'm super depressed, like, you know, my son's well taken care of, but me personally, I was really sad, you know, like something right here all the time, just telling me, like, you got to get her, you know. And I said to my therapist, I said, no one's hearing me. I've made reports. I've talked to desk people at DCF office because I didn't have a certain extension because Demetrius wasn't on the case anymore.
Gosh. So sad that beautiful children can be missing all that time and not even reported for so long. Yes, AJ, so sad. And KA, I think that's a great point because I'm listening and it's like there was so much more that people could have done. Like this Adam Montgomery guy, it's sad to say, but you know, people like that might never change and they're just going to be pieces of shit for their whole life. So it had to have fallen on somebody else to get Harmony help. You know, people should have done more. And I agree with you. I'm thinking the only people I believe are the Millers. Because, you know, when I'm listening to her talk, I'm not thinking, oh, she doesn't love Harmony. Of course, she probably loves Harmony, but I'm thinking, wow, she's just too defensive. Like, this is about Harmony, not about you, type of deal.
Which was the person that was supposed to remove her that didn't. He knew Adam personally. He was Adam's DYS counselor. So he was a conflict of interest from the beginning. So the 3 times they were supposed to remove her, they didn't because he knew him personally. And then I got word when Mauricio had reached out to me and said, you know, I was told you had made past reports, and then they started asking me questions about Harmony, and I said I still haven't seen or heard from her, nothing, and didn't hear anything. The guy was I have all the text messages from the guy basically doing nothing. So I reached out to the mayor and I said, listen, if you guys don't help me find my daughter, because DCYF and DCF and Mass dropped the ball on this one, let her slip through the cracks. I said, I'm going straight to the media. I don't care. It was like hours later, I got a phone call from the police in Manchester. And I had already called the Manchester police. They told me I couldn't file a missing persons report because he had physical custody of her. So they said, like, they told me go to court and file a petition to get custody. So I go there.
See, so it seems like they're skipping the whole welfare check, you know, any kind of a check-in. I think that's bullshit. I don't think I could file a missing persons report on whoever the hell I want if they're missing, right? Just doesn't make sense.
And they tell me if it's a DCYF open case, then I can't go there and go to court. So they were running, like, sent me around for busy work, you know what I mean, while they were trying to figure out how to cover their butt. And it was just, when they knew I couldn't do anything at the courthouse, but they still sent me over there, you know what I mean? And then, you know, the cops called me and they're like, we're completely involved now. DCYF told me this is really suspicious, blah, blah, blah. And then it came on the news.
Have you ever seen Adam be violent?
Yeah, when I was in a relationship with him, he used to choke me. I was pregnant with her, he'd choke me. Like all kinds of stuff. If you did more than him, he'd choke you. If you were texting and he didn't want you to, or somebody he didn't like, he would do whatever to you, scream at you, get in your face, whatever. He uses his intimidation and manipulation to get what he wants. Always has.
Have you ever seen him be violent towards Harmony?
Towards her, not me seeing this, but we had a play therapist that she had while he was getting visits when I had custody of her. And even my play therapist had made a report, before he got custody, mind you. I still had custody of her at this point. The play therapist made a report of abuse saying there was definite abuse going on in the house during visits. And when she told me that, I completely never let him have visits with her again, you know, because Nan was supervising them, and there was like once or twice where she had doc's appointments and stuff, so she wasn't there the whole time. And he's short-tempered, you know, so he, you know, as soon as he gets the second or loses his temper, he's gonna hit her, you know. And my daughter is she's just like me, you know. She talks a lot and she's excited and she's smart. You know, she kind of even thinks she might even know a little bit more than you know, even though she doesn't. But that's just her, and she's just beautiful like that. But I just don't ever see someone getting so angry to where they bash her around the house, as he said.
Yeah, no kidding. Who on earth would hit a child, let alone a little girl? Who on earth would hit a little girl? That is, can't even, why? Crazy people out there. Okay, guys, I'm going to drop this link because there's about half the interview left. Yeah, I believe her too. I just hate that it was so long. Really sad. So the last thing we're going to read tonight is I will read this. This is the new information I was talking about. This article just came out about a couple hours ago, actually, so it's very fresh. Title: Investigators remove evidence from apartment tied to Harmony Montgomery. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll get this going and we'll get out of here. A massive all-day law enforcement search of a Manchester, New Hampshire apartment building Tuesday failed to locate Harmony Montgomery. The now 8-year-old girl has not been seen in 2.5 years. New Hampshire authorities, including the Manchester Police, Hillsborough County Sheriffs, and the New Hampshire office of the FBI, spent hours Tuesday retrieving evidence from an apartment at 644 Union Street. The street reopened around 10 p.m. after the search ended for the night. Among dozens of onlookers Tuesday, Regina Carr watched the search and waited for updates. Carr has posted flyers and organized searches for Harmony over the last few months. We all want closure. I don't think this is the closure we hoped for, but we do want closure, Carr said. Her heart sinking as she watched investigators remove possible evidence. The fact that they didn't find Harmony here keeps the hope alive, means that we can continue searching for her. Near midday, investigators emerged from the apartment building, loading a refrigerator and other items, including wooden planks, into a truck. The items will be brought to another location for further analysis. Harmony's father, Adam Montgomery, and his then wife, Kayla Montgomery, once lived at that apartment. A Hillsborough County grand jury indicted Adam, 30 years old, in March on a felony charge of second-degree assault, alleging that he's the one who struck Harmony in the face in July 2019, causing that black eye. Kayla Montgomery, 31, was also indicted by a grand jury on a felony charge of theft by deception, alleging that she told the New Hampshire Health Department workers that Harmony was a member of her household from November 2019 to June 2nd, 2021, and that she received food stamp benefits for Harmony. Kayla was also arrested earlier this month on perjury charges. Both have pleaded not guilty, and they told police that Harmony was living with her mother in Massachusetts. So they're shifting the blame on the mother that we just saw the interview of. Adam is currently in custody, while Kayla's out on bond. Sources say that neither Adam nor Kayla Montgomery are cooperating in efforts to find Harmony. The New Hampshire Attorney General's office is heading up the Harmony Montgomery investigation. The office will not say what led police to search Union Street. However, a source tells me that the location was searched because of new investigatory leads that were recently developed. It does not appear that anyone close to Harmony Montgomery has changed course and is now cooperating with investigators. Harmony Montgomery disappeared sometime in November or December 2019. It's not clear if she ever lived at Union Street with Adam and Kayla. In January, the FBI helped New Hampshire investigators search a home on Guilford Street, where Harmony lived with her father and stepmother, and she was not found. As police spend hours searching Union Street, Harmony's birth mother, Crystal Sorey, told Boston 25 News, in quotes, "This is rough. I know in my heart this is no longer a rescue mission. They're looking for a body." Late Tuesday afternoon, Manchester Department of Public Works employees opened a manhole cover near Union Street apartment building, and they dropped a camera into the pipes below the street, searching for evidence. As of 6 p.m., Harmony Montgomery had not been found, and the search was expected to continue into the night. Anyone with information about Harmony's disappearance can call or text the 24-hour tip line. So, looks like they got some evidence. Here's the video from 644 Union Street, Manchester. Okay. So I'm sure we'll touch back on these cases soon. I hope that search on Union Street yields some results. I was looking at some other stuff on social media. I didn't find much, but even before this, I swear to God, guys, when we covered this back in January, there was something about a fridge, wasn't there? Because they were living at a house that didn't have electricity, and they mentioned something about the fridge wasn't even working. It was just so bad over there. But this apartment complex on Union Street is a different location, I think. So I'm a little bit lost on the facts, but we'll get in there. We'll be all right. Okay. And I agree with you, AJ. Her body language and linguistics match up with truthfulness, in my opinion. Yeah. KA says she will get more time for that charge than the father will for beating the child. Wouldn't that be horrible? You know, what do you call it? Fraud by deception and perjury somehow is worse than beating the lights out of a little girl. It's sick. Yeah, the cops went after her for food stamps, so I can see not talking to them anymore. Yeah. I don't know. I don't believe... I think it's pretty obvious Adam Montgomery had something to do with this. For them to shift blame onto the mom is just stupid. Especially being that they were getting financial benefits off of Harmony for almost 2 years. It's completely stupid, those two. But alright guys, I'm going to get out of here. I really appreciate it. Thanks for spending time with me tonight. I'll be back on soon. The Daily Reflexione for today was a pretty good one, I thought. It's past midnight, but I'm going to go to the one I read yesterday. It's called When the Going Gets Rough. It is a design for living that works in rough going. When I came to AA, I realized that AA worked wonderfully to help keep me sober, but could it work on real-life problems not concerned with drinking? I had my doubts. After being sober for more than 2 years, I got my answer. I lost my job, developed physical problems, my diabetic father lost a leg, and someone I loved left me for another. And all of this happened during a 2-week period. Reality crashed in, yet AA was there to support, comfort, and strengthen me. The principles I had learned during my early days of sobriety became a mainstay of my life, for not only did I come through, but I never stopped being able to help newcomers. AA's taught me not to be overwhelmed, but rather to accept and understand my life as it unfolded. That was beautiful. Okay, guys. Most likely I'll see you tomorrow, maybe the next day or the day after. I'm not really too sure. You guys have a good one.
Lately I've been scared, worn, torn, and worried. Fuck, nothing else compares. Apparently I should hurry up, rearranging my things and changing my ways. Trying to grow myself some wings so they could take me away. Trying to pace the steps I take, taking day after day. Trying to face all my mistakes, but I remain with the shame. Hate to say it, when I tried to drain it, all I did was numb it. I saw that fucking monster and I started to become it. In love with all the hate, well stuck in struggle and pain. Not too late to recover, but that's gonna leave a stain. I just say that I'm insane, I never really mean it, until I got up at 3 and I started talking to demons. Now I believe it and need to leave what I know, cause it's all been deceiving. I see dead people and crows. Wish that I wasn't alone, wish that I could go home. Wish the dark never replaced my heart with a stone. And now every time that rain falls down, it makes the same damn sound. Hitting on the ground and the pain don't trickle, it pours. You behind that door better get out, cause that room will overflow and leave you with nowhere to go. You could die in there and no one would know. You better hurry, son, Cause I think I see a storm, and you seem to be the one that it's headed right for. Afraid the bed I made and laid in may be pretty costly. Can't change it, Satan's in my brain, and every day he haunts me. I'm praying and I say to God, please just get him off me. No matter what I do, I can't wake up from this dark sleep. Feel I'm barely breathing as I'm turning to a demon. People thinking I should change, but I can't think of a reason. As the seasons keep repeating, the leaves fall off the trees, and I keep seeking for some meaning. I'm just acting fucking mean and think I'm shutting down. Shit, I wish I was deleted. Now I'm leaving cause nobody wanted me here in the vegan. Whining, crying, bleeding, but I ain't trying to please, and it's indeed that I've been in too deep. I've been defeated. Light, I think I see it. Hope I don't break to pieces and I make it to that place that I've been seeing while I'm dreaming. Find the king in me and I'll decide to be him. I'm not lying nor deceiving, I'm just trying to be me. Shit. Every time that rain falls down, it makes the same damn sound. Hitting on the ground and the pain don't trickle, it pours. You behind that door better get out, cause that room will overflow and leave you with nowhere to go. You could die in there and no one would know. You better hurry, son, cause I think I see a storm, and you seem to be the one that it's headed right for. Every time that rain falls down, it makes the same damn sound. Hitting on the ground and the pain don't trickle, it pours. You behind that door better get out, cause that room will overflow and leave you with nowhere to go. You could die in there and no one would know. You better hurry, son, cause I think I see a storm, and you seem to be the one that it's headed right for.